there is an effort to fragment a black vote, and it is sponsored by white monopoly capital. And again, Zuma never speaks about white monopoly capital, or Floyd for that matter. They speak about EFF. They sponsor formation of black parties so that the DA can emerge.
So will you work with the ANC and the GNU if the DA and the IFP are in it as well?
IFP, I don't mind at all. I mind DA and the Freedom Front. Those were at the center of our pain. So we must be careful of our country being taken by neoliberals. My worry is they're privatizing everything that matters to us. To erode the state will be led by mafias for it. Zuma did what he did because he didn't want to let go of power. And he decided, look, I'm going to create this family stokvel that will keep me relevant, and I'll be able to use it to advance individual family interest. We take our own decision, we write our own history as individuals. And when that history is written, it will tell the true story. We're sitting here, we still don't know what was the revolutionary about taking that decision of going to MK.
The big question every South African wants to know is whether the EFF is dead or whether it can form a resurgence in the next local government elections. It's lost its deputy president, Floyd Shivambu, someone who was a close colleague and friend to the EFF's leader, Julius Malema, for over 20 years, I think. My name is Hajra Marji. I'm the political editor of Business Day.
And I'm Tando Mayego. I'm the senior political correspondent at the Business Day.
And we're in conversation with Julius Malema, who has a long history in the ANC and the EFF. He grew the party from nothing to contest in most provinces in the country. And from what I hear here on the ground at the EFF's headquarters is the EFF's staff say they have no intention of leaving the party and they are committed to its growth. And I guess the election results at the next municipal poll will tell the ultimate story. Julius, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
I am I'm confused about where South Africa is going.
Yeah.
We have no economic growth. We have increased unemployment. What is the EFF offering as an alternative that the ANC or the GNU is not offering, and why should South Africans vote for you?
Well, we need to beneficiate our minerals here in South Africa because that's where the problem is. In the absence of beneficiation, you are creating high levels of unemployment, and that would lead to poverty and high cost of living. So if we want to create jobs, we must industrialize, and you cannot industrialize if you don't have minerals. You're taking your minerals out of the country. So we were favored by God by giving us mineral resources and natural resources which can be used to benefit our people.
We've been hearing the beneficiation argument since 1993. It hasn't happened. Instead, we see BEE being used to enrich a few political elites. We see a massive challenge to economic redress. BEE, employment equity, affirmative action by the Democratic Alliance, which is in the GNU. And the ANC seems unable to defend itself. Is the EFF offering an alternative to South Africans, which is different to MK, which I'll say publicly lacks credibility?
Well, the EFF offers a leftist perspective, which is an alternative to neoliberalism, which most of these parties you're talking about are advocating for. We need a corrupt-free society where state cannot be used to intimidate the whistleblowers. We need to industrialize and make sure that whatever money circulates in the country is for infrastructural development purposes, because we've got a lot of money in the banks idling, and those with the money are refusing to invest in South Africa because they say they don't have confidence in the South African government.
Do you support BE?
Yes, I do. BE was a very good policy. It was supposed to be broadened, as it were. We had argued that it must be broadened and must be given to people who have the necessary skills to deliver what needs to be delivered. And as it is now, it has been corrupted, and it looks like it is designed for certain people.
I mean, amidst the backdrop of now the GNU and the polling suggesting that South Africans are really satisfied with the GNU instead of a one-party dominant state, do you think the EFF's alternative will gain favor among voters within the next election cycle, that is 2026? Of course, also considering that last year you took just a little knockback in terms of voter share.
Well, the EFF will get a vote because our people believe that a solid alternative is the one that is going to give them what they've been longing for. GNU, you know who constitute GNU, and those who constitute GNU controls what? They control the media. And that's why the narrative that GNU is doing well and all of that, but it's not doing well. If you check the high cost of living, you check the levels of unemployment, you check the issue of corruption, which we thought was going to be at the center when they took over, but it doesn't look like there's an agenda to deal with that. So all of that is waiting for EFF to deal with it.
On corruption, do you think corruption pays?
It pays, Mara, for now. When it catches up with you, everything else that you thought it's yours, it will destroy you.
I mean, with the EFF now, like you said, the GNU has not really been doing well because the indicators, cost of living, and other indicators suggest that the GNU really hasn't produced tangible efforts to improve South Africans' lives. Now, to counter the GNU, the EFF has really used parliaments and the courts to show that it is an alternative. I mean, among voters, do you think that instead of being a rowdy force within parliament, do you think now it's perhaps changing the EFF's image in the public imagination as being a party of governance instead of a party of just rowdy youngsters?
Well, when you start a party, you ought to come up with a different strategy so that you are not swallowed by what already exists. People must be able to distinguish between you and those who were old in parliament. Yeah. The EFF, if it had not taken the posture it took, it will be one of those parties dressed in suits and ties. When you speak, you'll just speak like, and they've not written down there. The thing is, it's an ANC member. Mm-hmm. Because what distinguishes DA is the color of their skin. Mm-hmm. So we were just going to be another ANC. But even when we were causing trouble in Parliament, we were making very substantive inputs, qualitative inputs guided by superior logic. And many of them could not actually accept that these are issues that are coming from the EFF.
The EFF, COPE was a necessary irritation, which stole a percentage of the vote from the ANC. The EFF was a necessary irritation, and like you said, it needed to be a disrupting force to separate itself from the ANC. Firstly, do you see MK as a credible opposition? And secondly, why is the EFF a credible opposition, leftist opposition?
Well, it is not a credible alternative because of how they carry themselves in Parliament. If you listen to the quality of their inputs and look at how they conduct their affairs, you don't want the government of South Africa to fall in the hands of such people. You need people who are going to put serious issues on the table that will meaningfully change the lives of our people. I mean, this one thing that many of you have not observed there. MK doesn't speak bad about DA. Ramaphosa's ANC, we can't work with Ramaphosa's ANC. But they've never said they can't work with the DA or the Freedom Front, anything that represents extreme right wing. And that should be able to tell you that these people are prepared to join forces with people who want to destroy our country. So, and to make matters worse, you've never seen Zuma wearing a scarf of Palestine. But Cyril Ramaphosa, who we call a sellout all the time, he wears that scarf of Palestine. And you know what it does to the Jewish right-wingers when you wear that scarf.
I just want to talk about Jacob Zuma himself. It's difficult for me to hear out the argument by some ANC that he was an apartheid spy. It is easier to understand Jacob Zuma as a hired gun. Do you think his intention, knowing him better than I do, is to destroy our constitutional democracy?
Well, no, I don't think, even if he wanted to, he doesn't have the capacity to do that.
Yeah.
Calling a person a spy is what they do with ease, without facts. And if you're to put a commission of inquiry and say, prove those allegations, they won't prove it. So Zuma did what he did because he didn't want to let go of power. And he decided, look, I'm going to create this family stokvel that will keep me relevant, and I'll be able to use it to advance individual family interest.
I mean, the EFF, I mean, you have said that you've offered, the EFF in Parliament did offer to help MK just starting up in terms of the parliamentary operations. I mean, MK's caucus really has, I would say, rich institutional memory. I mean, they have CEOs, former CEOs of SOEs, a former judge president. Do you think they haven't been able to utilize this properly, or do you think it's all just a part of the plan, like you say, that they're just not a credible alternative at this point?
Well, it's different to be a CEO and being a politician. You can make a very good CEO, but not politician. So I think they're lacking when it comes to politicians, especially the former the former judge president of Western Cape, Dr. Hlophe. So it's important that the person you put forward understand politics and doesn't do politics for the sake of politics and regard them as a career move and take the approach of careerism. It won't work.
I mean, do you think it's a threat that the MK and the ATM have now said that they will team up together for the local government elections? I mean, they're part of the so-called Progressive Caucus, if that even still exists now. I don't think it does. Yeah.
Well, the ATM combined with the MK, even now with these numbers now, doesn't make any change, doesn't make any difference. If anything, people have seen what the MK is. And they will speak on the local government elections about what they really did was wrong.
Okay. We're going to get to the ANC in a minute, but I want to talk about the EFF. I think you are going to struggle to come back. I've heard 2016, 2021, 2024, your Secretary Generals tell us that they go door to door, they do proper sit-down sessions, there's proper training, they have numbers, they know how to get those numbers onto the buses. You do incredibly well in your public speeches, but you're just one person. How are you going to grow the EFF?
The EFF is growing on its own. I mean, from the conference of the EFF, we agreed that a membership will which must constitute a branch, must be 200 plus. So by the time we finish having these branches, that on its own, it's an organizational growth.
Back to basics.
But equally, you need to conscientize and politicize the ground forces so that they come to appreciate that there can be many, but there will never be more than voters, and therefore they still seek the votes of ordinary people who are not members of the EFF but potentially supporting the EFF. And by the look of things, the by-elections results where we contest, there is a scientific proof that the organization is growing. So it was unfortunate that it got less than what it had by 0.5%. And that is just a wake-up call, and we are responding to that.
Do you think the people who supported Jacob Zuma and MK, was it a tribal vote or was it a vote of the disenfranchised and a protest vote against the ANC?
It was a tribal vote. The people who are tribalists were looking for home and were looking for a statement, to replace Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who they saw as a father figure. So now they were thinking, who can be a father figure for the Zulu nation? Because if it was a protest of people who are not satisfied with the ANC, it would have been across the country. So it happens in one province where it happens they speak Zulu and he's Zulu. And if they were to be asked, if a research was to be conducted, they will confirm that they voted for their own Zulu men. Because that's what happened when he took over the presidency of the ANC. It was already declining. It was a problem. But when he took over the presidency of the ANC started increasing numbers in KZN and declining everywhere else. So they played a very dirty game there of tribalism, which is undesirable.
What do you make? Because I think it speaks to maybe the post-1994 project, bringing South Africa together, a project of non-racialism, non-tribalism, non-sexism. And we see people, perhaps like you say, that it was a tribal vote for the MK, moving towards political parties and organizations where they identify first with their tribe or identify with their ethnicity. And the EFF has always maintained that it's not a party like that. It's a party for all. It says so in its constitution, and its 7 cardinal pillars also really espouse those. What do you make then of like the post-1994 democratic project now? Do you see it disintegrating? And then how does then the EFF, while trying to increase its voter share, also conscientize people to that?
There is an effort to fragment a black vote. And it is sponsored by white monopoly capital. And again, Zuma never speaks about white monopoly capital or Floyd for that matter. They speak about EFF. So they sponsor formation of black parties so that the DA can emerge. These parties that are being formed, none of them say they are going to fight for the land, for the economy to be returned into the hands of the people. None of them speak ill about Helen Zille, who wants to be a mayor at the age of 75 years. And the strategy is you need to get these votes in Johannesburg, and then the DA gets a vote, Freedom Front gets a vote, then you bring these votes together, and then you vote for DA mayor. I mean, look at Bosa, the other one, Muzanzi, and things like that.
Will you work with Mmusi Maimane and Herman Mashaba?
I don't think it will be possible because we're completely different ideologically. I think we don't subscribe to certain things. Him and Mashaba, we come together when it comes to issues of service delivery. He seems to have such kind of passion for service delivery. But otherwise, ideologically, there's going to be a lot of contestation. The parties that can work together is the EFF, MK, and the ANC. And then it can bring a stability, but also the political will to change the lives of our people.
So will you work with the ANC and the GNU if the DA and the IFP are in it as well?
IFP, I don't mind at all. I mind DA and the Freedom Front. Those were at the center of our pain, and therefore it can be that now we are in power and therefore we forgot where we come from.
But you said that as a minister you'll outshine all of them.
They know
I
that.
kind of think you will. So why not go and show what you can do like Gayton McKenzie is?
No, you're comparing bananas with rotten apples. It's not doing anything except to be Jajarach. We will bring substantive changes in the lives of our people, material changes in the lives of our people, in areas where change is mostly needed, and not just be people who speak to ourselves at night through live on a social media platform or anything of that sort. I say so because you look at EFF and how it is run. It's a well-oiled machine. You look at how it make a commitment on certain things that it can do as an organization even without being in parliament. We do them very well.
Okay, so that's true. When I met you 20 years ago, you said you were going to disband the Youth League's investment arm, and you did. So you tend to do what you say. In terms of value-adding beneficiation, what can be done now in the current legislation to get things going?
No, we have to put money in the infrastructural development. There is no infrastructure that is moving in South Africa. The manufacturing has declined. Many factories have closed down. So you must know when manufacturing are closing, it means many jobs lost. And therefore it is a duty of government to ensure that those things are done properly. So if you look at protecting the infant industries that can create a lot of jobs, that's an intervention that can be made now. And with South Africans being conscientized that they must not let go with ease their spaza shops in their yards and then complain that Somalians have taken shops, as if Somalians went there and then took out guns and took
they're
the land.
renting.
They're renting, and they're renting from people who are unemployed. Their children are unemployed. Why can't they say, okay, I've got a daughter here, I've got a son who's not doing anything, let him run a spaza shop. So those are things that we have to look into. The saloons that we see mushrooming everywhere else in South Africa. Money can be made available to such projects, and small business as well, supported not only in theory, practically, and putting certain qualified individuals as mentors of such small business companies. We will see a lot of growth within a short term.
Why is the EFF not challenging the DA's legal action or legal applications to do away with BEE, EE, and AA?
We're in. We're in that case. We can't leave it.
Yeah, that's important.
Just going back to what you said, Mr. Malema, about how it is the MK and the EFF and the ANC that can work together. I mean, how do you envision that, considering there may be a clash of perhaps egos? I mean, we see them working together here in Gauteng with the minority government. But in commanders and comrades and fighters in KZN are unlikely to work together. Similarly, in Mpumalanga and in other provinces. How then do you see that working out, considering also that EFF and MK are ANC breakaway parties, and one could characterize them as perhaps ANC factions that were dissatisfied with the ANC and then just had to break away?
The EFF is not a breakaway from the ANC.
Okay.
I was expelled from the ANC. And even when I begged for my membership, they still said, you must go. That's why most of the policies of the EFF are those of the Youth League 2011 conference, where we took radical decisions to make this country a better place. So, and when it comes to MK and ANC, there is a clash of personalities at a high level, where MK says I can work with the ANC of Ramaphosa, and then but the ANC saying, well, we are ready to work with you, but stop these ridiculous demands, because we can simply say we don't want to work with Zuma, and where does it take us? Sometimes it becomes a bit strategic, to take 2 steps backward in order to take 3 steps forward. They can go in GNU with the EFF and the ANC and influence things from there. And it can see Ramaphosa being removed, actually, without any hassle when we work together.
You said that you are not Chachara. You want to bring material change to the lives of South Africans. You taught these politicians how to be Chachara. So how have you changed in terms of your leadership over the last 20 years?
Well, it comes with age and exposure. I mean, when we were in the Youth League, we were told that we've got a license to make mistakes. And every time I see young people making mistakes, I'm happy, because they must be prepared to learn from those mistakes so that they become good leaders. So when you become an adult, you can't have the benefits of being a child. So you must choose if you want to be an adult or you want to be a child. And I chose to be an adult because I've got children that I must look after, but equally I must teach them how they need to behave, especially in a complicated country like South Africa.
Speaking about your kids, you are the son of a domestic worker. Your mother brought home leftovers. Your drive, from what I saw anyway, and I've known you for a while, was finding home and family. Do you think you've now achieved that?
Yes, I've achieved that. I've got a family, and I'm a father to my children, and I give them the things that I was longing for. As a child, you always know that I need 1, 2, 3, but the material doesn't allow. So just let go, but you know what you want. They know what they want, and I know what I want for them. The first one who came from outside the marriage before I got married.
How old is he now?
He's 18, he's at Wits University. And you can only be proud to bring up a young man like that and get him to be at the university and prioritize education, knowing very well that nicer things are still to come. I tell him all the time that a hit song now becomes even more nicer when it is out of fashion and you're playing it in your car from here to Polokwane. You are not missing anything. It will still be there. A club will be there. The only thing different will be a name, but it will still be there.
So you took Zuma and Ramaphosa's decision to expel you from the ANC pretty hard because you lost your political home. I see you having taken Floyd Shivambu's departure from the EFF as hard, because he was a colleague and a brother and a friend to you for a long time. How do you trust again? How do you invest as much as you've invested in politics as you have done previously after going through such heartbreak?
You must invest, but never invest emotions.
Okay.
So you must develop people, you must encourage people to do the right thing, work on them, give them the necessary support where it is needed. But it must not go too hard.
Yeah.
To a point where when they disappoint you, you feel like you are disappointed by your blood brother. We make a mistake because we seem to think our colleagues are our friends. And we become so comfortable with each other. And when things happen, we now want to cry foul as if we didn't know some of these things. I see a lot of successful people like Ivan Khoza. He's not the kind of a guy who likes being around people a lot and having many friends. He had a friend called Screamer who passed away. May his soul rest in peace. But other than that, he's not a craftsman. He goes to work, do his work, and does it diligently, because they've never set a game of Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates starts at 3 and it started at 3:30. So he has professionalized football. And he did so not because he befriended those people, but he worked with them and he knew their colleagues.
I mean, speaking on Floyd, with his Maibuya consultative process, did you expect that coming out of him, number one? And then publicly, he's made so many public pronouncements, negative public pronouncement about your relationship with him, about operations going on here at EFF. Did you expect that? And just what do you make of it?
I don't know how Floyd could have gone to Zuma and MK. I don't know how he could not have known Zuma would do that to him in a few months, because Zuma does that to everyone.
Well, we take our own decision. We write our own history as individuals, and when that history is written, it will tell the true story. We're sitting here, we still don't know what was the revolutionary about taking that decision of going to MK. But people take individual decisions, and we ought to respect those decisions as the people. And we wish them well. If they are genuinely going to help our people, we can do with so many hands in helping our people. And we shouldn't be hard on them and say all manner of things. Yes, we get disappointed as people because we are people. But you must let go.
Yeah.
Have you changed? Have you changed in any way you do things in the EFF just based on what happened last year and all the departures?
Just before you answered that, I was quite surprised in the last election that Floyd led so much of the campaign, was in charge of governance, was in charge of GNU. You seemed to give him the responsibility that he wanted, and either he didn't do well and couldn't account, or it wasn't enough. He wanted to be the CIC.
Well, the question is, did I change? When you build an organization, it's based on your face, your speech, and all of that. So you need to gradually, unannounced, start giving other people responsibilities and take a backseat to observe what will happen. And we did exactly that because we had developed an amount of confidence in some of these comrades. But when that happened, it suggested that I now have to be hands-on and make sure that we take care of the organization. It's interesting that he's calling us all manner of names, cult and all of that. But most decisions here were taken by him, were influenced by him. He says he says, I'm a cult. In the same sentence, he says, yeah, he wanted to make someone else Secretary General when he came from a caucus. And I suggested Marshal Dlamini, and Marshal Dlamini became Secretary General. If I was a cult, why would I agree to something like that? I was not from a caucus. I was sitting with him, we were talking, I said, Shadrach Tlaule can be the Secretary General. And he said, no, Marshal Dlamini. And I said, I don't know why I didn't think about that name. And I immediately agreed. There was no quarrel about it. But he's a man who was doing everything because I'm a cult. But whatever suggestions that came forward, we are individuals. We make individual proposals. And most of the ideas he expressed in the EFF were accepted, were never met with resistance. So I don't know what got into their head. Maybe it's again, fostering that idea of fragmenting a black vote, make sure EFF gets as little votes as possible and so many political parties, then the DA grows with the Freedom Front Plus and the IFP, and then they take over South Africa. But it is our duty as leaders to accept that from time to time people are going to insult you, especially the people you worked with, the people you are close with. People are destroyed by people who are close to them, not people from far. So you ought to accept that, but do not degenerate to their level. Just leave them to say whatever they say. People will see them for who they are.
Yeah. Anything else, Floyd?
Moving on to the ANC now and the EFF and the GNU going back. Post-2026, do you see the GNU surviving? And what do you see the ANC's role in the future of South Africa now?
Well, the ANC is going to become very insignificant when we go forward with the political landscape of South Africa. Because if you observe what's happening now, these people are going to kill each other. Instead of, when you are faced with danger, you close ranks and say, comrades, whatever differences we have, we need to close rank and focus on what is destroying the organization. No, they are pulling each other in different directions in the name of renewal. And there's nothing renewal about what they are doing. So, but they will have themselves to blame. And maybe it's good for all of us. Maybe the smaller they become, the better.
But will the MK not benefit?
It will benefit.
Will you benefit? Will the
We will
benefit?
Okay. We will benefit. I mean, in my ward where there was by-elections, we hit the ANC by 900 votes, showing very clear that people are no longer interested. If MK benefit, well and good. And there are other parties that might be an irritation there and there, but when brought together, we constitute a proper government and we build South Africa with those who are willing to build South Africa. The DA's problem is that it does it for white people. I mean, I was listening to Helen when she was speaking in one radio interview saying there are actually two parties here in South Africa. It's the ANC and the DA. And that's how our people must vote. Meaning, there are two parties, and those parties, one is for blacks, one is for whites. That's what she is saying.
I mean, she's also said that the EFF is the DA's strongest or biggest threat.
Yeah, in terms of policy position, we are completely different. So we must be careful of our country being taken by neoliberals and turning it into a privately owned state. Because if you privatize almost everything, you're making the state irrelevant. And therefore, what is the purpose of having a president or anything of that sort if he's got no power? I mean, they are gradually taking this government without saying. They privatized education, privatized healthcare, privatized transport. Because if you look at the trains that were there are no longer there. The taxis, taxi industry is collapsing on its own. That's why it's fighting. And then they bring Uber, which is going to be privately owned by individuals. And without a proper bus system and train system, then transport is privatized. So my worry is they're privatizing everything that matters to us, and we should be worried about that. I mean, to say, give private companies to produce electricity. They produce electricity and they produce enough electricity. What do? They're going to make sure that ESCOM is dysfunctional, doesn't work. They make sure that doesn't work. Then we have no option. We have to buy electricity from an individual. Such responsibility are security risky because individuals are emotional. They're human beings. Rupert can wake up in the morning and switch off electricity. What will you do about it? He's selling it. What do you do with the owners of water? One day they get irritated with the government and they close water. It can be. There are certain things you have to be very jealous about, especially the things that constitute the core of what the state is. Look at security companies now. They are more armed than the law personnel of South Africa. So that is danger on its own. And we must strengthen the police, strengthen the army, strengthen Metro Police, as it were, so that it becomes more powerful than any individual or any company in South Africa. But to erode the state will be led by mafias foreign.
I mean, the point of bringing in private players in those network industries, the ports, electricity, and water, I mean, it's gaining momentum right now. And there's nothing, I think, in my opinion, I think there's nothing you can do to stop it. You can either support it or you just let it play back.
And is it all bad? Exxaro investing in Transnet, would that be a bad thing?
Yeah, it is a bad thing. We need to build Transnet. And then Exxaro will utilize our facilities.
But we don't have money.
No, we've got money. We had money now to do a commission of more than 1 billion under Zondo. You had money now to do another commission of 700 million. Every time the Hampepe commission is going to cost a lot of money. Every time we're talking about fixing this and that for the people, there is no money and they make no apology about it. Yeah. But they release money on stupid things in less than 2 months. Yeah. Where was that money?
Do you think the black middle class and working class support NHI?
Yeah, the black people will support it because...
Middle class and working class that have medical aid.
They will support it. You still use your medical aid at the public hospital if it's properly equipped.
Yeah.
Because NHI, in its entirety and interest, is to improve our health facilities to be of a particular standard, to an extent that whether you go to public or you go to private, it doesn't make any sense. You'll get the services you want. So that's how you're going to close private clinics, by bringing quality public health care. They will automatically close. People prefer what is government. If you improve the state of education, make the results show for themselves, people will leave private schools to public schools. People don't have money. They those schools end up putting them in a debt. So when you've got quality public education, it's a reliever from a debt which they were incurring to take their children to private school. So it is not correct that if it's private, it is inherently correct. Yeah. If we're to go to Pretoria commercial crimes now and check how many private companies are closing there. Yeah. So it can't be that because it's private, therefore it's going to be proper. No. We must make it public and we must make it work. For instance, you need to ask the question, why is the private sector refusing government to open a state-owned bank? But they allow everywhere, the private school, public health, public road, public this, they don't have a problem. But bank, they are refusing with everything. Why? They know that bank will be functional and will sell money at a cheaper rate. And once it does that, it is the end of those banks. You don't close them. They will automatically close.
I'd like your view on my opinion, and you can disagree with that, is that Fikile Mbalula is the front runner for the next ANC president in terms of provincial support, the youth leagues, the leagues. What do you make of him as the next ANC president? And Paul Mashatile, Gwen Ramahopa, Patrice Patsepe, I don't believe the Patrice thing, but allegedly also possible candidates. What do you make of Mbalula, and who do you think should be the next ANC president?
Well, it's not my business to say who's going to be the next ANC president.
But you know the ANC better than us.
At the rate they are going, for sure you heard that Stan Matawata resigned as ANC chair because of how things are done and all of that. Yeah. If they leave Mbalula to run the way he's running, he will be president of the ANC because the man is running. He tells everybody to keep quiet and then he speaks when everybody is quiet about the race.
And he's organizing the provinces and the leagues.
He's organizing the provinces.
That's the job of an SG, isn't it?
But you can't win confidence without an SG.
Yeah. So he will take over Mbalula, but he will have a difficulty with Paul Mashatile. He operates in a different strategy. Doesn't operate the way Mbalula operates. He operates in a much more sophisticated manner. And there are two people running. The rest are just talking. They're passing time. It's Paul and Mbalula. And if they're not going to stop how Mbalula organizes things, they must know he will take it.
I mean, we could also see some sort of a unity slate forming, similar to what happened last year
it's possible.
In December.
It's possible. If there is a compromise slate, Paul will be president and Mbalula will be deputy president.
Yeah. Just moving on to now, just South African foreign policy and how just South Africa has been thrust into the international spotlight over the last year, but it has been building up over the past couple of years. Just in your view, do you think South Africa can withstand just the multiple threats against it in terms of its foreign policy? And just how do you think the ANC is stewarding the foreign policy of the country right now?
Well, as a country, you must first protect your sovereignty.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're going to win outside forces or not. You must first defend what is South Africa and its policies. The attack against South Africa is not necessarily against South Africa. The international politics are shifting. And therefore, many countries are going to be at the receiving end. Others are responding in a bold manner against the impositioning of tariffs by America. Yeah. We will rise. We shouldn't compromise who we are because of changing patterns of politics. But equally, we've got friends international. We've got BRICS, which is now extended and has got many other countries joining it. we should seek alternative markets in those countries and make sure that our business does not suffer the way we're looking at things now.
Do you think Donald Trump's election is the end of American imperialism?
That's the end. That's the end. Unipolar world is emerging.
After the first High Court judgment, I don't know how the judge agreed with AfriForum's genocide claims. Mm-hmm. There's no evidence to suggest there's a white genocide in South Africa. But when the judge ruled against you first in the High Court, you changed Dubula Ibunu into Kiss the Boer. Mm-hmm. There were subsequent arguments before the Constitutional Court, which ruled in Dubula Ibunu's favor. In order to just make life easier and for you to stop being seen as a threat to the US, would you consider singing Kiss the Boer instead of Dubula Ibunu?
There's no need to ease any threat from the USA. It doesn't cause me any pain. Donald Trump is not God. His term is coming to an end after 4 years. And a new president who's sober, who reads, will take over and understand what are the issues.
Is Africa the solution to South Africa's economic problems, and how?
Yes, we need to do away with the borders and then trade with each other and make sure that we benefit from one another. There are so many things we need from each other as a country. You know, the argument that, no, if we do a borderless Africa, those people are going to come here. We were borderless Africa at some point before we were cut into pieces. Mm-hmm. But those people remained in their countries. They never came here. Mm-hmm. They say people come here because we are rich. They will want the richness of South Africa. Gauteng compared to Limpopo is very rich. But I've not seen empty houses in Limpopo. Mm-hmm. That people are leaving Limpopo, going to stay in Gauteng because there are more greener pastures there. It is a threat to imperialism, which benefit out of the exploitation of the mineral resources of South Africa.
Is China the solution to South Africa's economic problems?
We are partners in BRICS. We're working together. It's not a threat anywhere. The problem is our leaders. It's not China or anything. They go and negotiate ridiculous things because they want this money now. And then they concede on the most strategic things. And you must know, in business, if I win, even if it means the other side is losing badly, it doesn't matter. Business is shrewd by its own nature.
But BRICS is
bad. Do you think there's an appetite in Africa to work together, even if, amidst the Trump backlash and the tariff backlash? I mean, if you look at our region, Southern Africa, there's no unified voice towards the Trump tariffs, despite lots of Southern African countries using South African infrastructure to trade with the US. I mean, countries such as Eswatini, Lesotho, Namibia, Zimbabwe have their respective policies towards the Trump matter, but not so much in unison. Do you think there's an appetite to work together?
Well, we are divided, and we're being divided by the imperialist forces. Yeah. And that's why we are working towards uniting the continent so that no one causes unnecessary problems. We all speak at one. It might not happen tomorrow or in few days to come, but we have a duty to speak the language of unity everywhere else we go. Yeah. And in that way, we're fine. We're good to go.
Just one more question for me on BRICS. We have a massive trade deficit with China. We don't export enough to them. India buys wine from Australia. We buy chickens from Brazil. How can we better do things within BRICS to serve our economic interests?
We must, at that level, agree that we need to buy from each other so that we speak one language. So if we speak in a disjointed manner, we don't have an impact. But at the level of BRICS, these matters must be raised sharply. That this is what we're taking from you, this is what we're taking from, this is what you're taking from outside us here. This thing you're taking in Australia, we've got it. We can give it to you. And so on and so forth. Once our leaders start engaging deeply, I think Trump is also helping by the way he's conducting himself. He's forcing them to talk and talk on detail of what needs to happen. Otherwise, they're going to stay here with rotten things. The sooner we move, the better.
We want to know how you remember Tsidi Madia.
Tsidi was a very good journalist, seasoned one, fearless in character, and had to ask the relevant questions, uncomfortable questions. And those of us who grew up with her, we came to understand his style of engagement. It's a big, big, big loss to the journalist family. It's a big loss to her family. And we believe that she has produced more who looked up to her and who are prepared to continue the journey. May her soul rest in perfect, permanent peace. Thank you.